Hold on one second.
Before we came to America, we were living in the east by the Nile River, living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So my friend, it's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
It's easy to tell, white man heaven is a black man hell.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Master Farad Muhammad said 6 words to us, and these were the 6 most powerful words that he spoke. He said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own. The Caucasians who brought our fathers into slavery desired to take us away from our own people, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, our own language. So we have grown up in America away from our own mind, away from our own selves, and so we have been actually indoctrinated with an alien mentality.
10,000 fearless men, because we're going to have to challenge the things that are destroying our community. So this ain't no punk time. This ain't no temple time, mosque time, or church time. All the singing and shouting and preaching is over. Get in them streets now, block by block. We're going to have to clean it up. The airwaves is not enough. The television screen is not enough. You got to put boots on the ground who are trained and are willing to make the sacrifice of life itself to see our community made a decent place to live.
Attention. Drill.
Soldiering is a part of the Nation of Islam, and it readies all of us to obey the commands of God. Now some will ask, well, why military drill? Because this is what produces the camaraderie.
Facebook and Instagram thought that they could ban the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
But in reality, they can't, because he already lives in us and millions of others.
قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
In the name of Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, the one true and living God to whom praise is due forever, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his messenger. Peace, family, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. WHID-FM is your personal platform for those of us striving to follow the life-giving, life-saving teachings of the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as given to us by his premier pupil, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan gathered right here in this virtual meeting place to answer that most critical question: what has Islam done for me? It's Sunday, April 26, 2026, and at this time, we're going to turn it over to our dynamic co-host, Sister Janine, who is a superstar student here in the Ministry of Muhammad Mosque, number 6, under the leadership of our beloved brother, student Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad. Sister Janine.
Assalamu alaikum, family, and thank you again for joining us for another wonderful episode of WHID-FM. We thank you for tuning in each and every week to hear your stories from our various guests about what Islam has done and continuing to do for them. Tonight, I'm going to introduce our first guest, who is Taqee Muhammad. It's a product of his beloved parents, Brother Sharif and Sister Sharifa Muhammad. Brother Taqee was born and raised as a nation baby in Los Angeles at Muhammad Mosque number 27 and raised in Atlanta out of Muhammad Mosque number 15. He is a civil engineer by trade and a multifaceted musician. He is gifted in percussion instruments, rapping, and singing. Some of his passions are military drill and martial arts, of which he is a 7th degree black belt in the martial science King Wing Tai Bai under Siju Sabir Muhammad. Brother Taqee continues a deep study in the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is a striving student who believes his purpose is to teach the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through creative mediums and help the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan bring a universal government of peace wherein we all live in peace. Sister Tyra Muhammad, she is a multidisciplinary scholar and an aspiring healthcare professional born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. She was born to Tiffany and Samuel Jackson, who played a foundational role in shaping her values, discipline, and work ethic through her upbringing. She has her professional experience in emergency medicine and laboratory science and is currently pursuing a graduate level training with a goal of entering dental or medical school. In 2021, she joined the Nation of Islam, a pivotal moment that further strengthened her spiritual foundation, sense of purpose, and commitment to self-improvement. Her interests include patient advocacy, music, wellness, fashion, and intentional living. And she brings a thoughtful perspective on faith, resilience, and navigating demanding academic and personal paths. So we'd like to welcome you both on the show this evening. Assalamu alaikum, family. I think we have one. There you go. I don't think we can hear you both. Oh man. Can you try connecting your audio? Might be we'll see what's going on. Oh, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, thank you, family, for joining us this evening. We appreciate you being on. And the first question that we want to get right into, and now when we have guests, we like to get a background of our guests, just to get an idea of what brought you both to the Nation of Islam. Now, so brother, we know you're a nation baby, but there is a different perspective that the nation babies come from when it comes from making their decision to join the Nation of Islam. So can you tell us your journey first, and then Sister Tyra, you can tell us your journey next.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. And I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is the exalted Christ. And I'm in now Mahdi, and I bear witness that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan is their divine warner and guide in our midst, the Messiah in our midst. Assalamu alaikum once again. Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir.
So I always tell everybody there was never a point in time that I did not feel and did not identify as an FOI. I was born and raised in these teachings, and I remember from the age, I believe it was 7, when I was in California, and I was on like the steps of our house, and I was telling my uncle what it was that I wanted to be when I got older. And that's a whole nother story, so I won't get all into that. But that whole thing, the root of that whole thing was I wanted to help build our nation. I wanted to help realize the vision of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and not just talk mosque, and not just talk the teachings, but bring the teachings to life and actually realize and grow out of mosque into nation was what I've always wanted since my earliest memory of what it was that I desired to be. And so there was a point in time, though, in my journey where I wasn't interested in writing my letter, and that was because I didn't understand. I didn't get why I needed to write a letter and say my slave name is as follows, and I got Muhammad. So that didn't make sense to me. I didn't have a slave name, so I didn't have any motivation to actually write my letter at a particular point in time because I didn't really see the point in doing it. I thought that was for, lost founds, and I thought that I wasn't a lost found too. So it wasn't until I believe the minister's 2018, or was it 19 lecture, when he in Savior's Day, when he described the purpose of the letter, and he described his journey of writing his letter, and getting the FBI messing with the mail and then not getting through and then having to write another letter, and explaining the principles that we learn in writing the letter and that carry us throughout our whole journey in the nation. That after I watched that Savior's Day, I was there at that Savior's Day. I went home and started writing my letter, and then eventually. I had like a 3-inch binder full of letters. Handwriting and all of that was never my strong suit. Chicken scratch is what I've always had. So, and then I came up in a generation where they were phasing out cursive writing. So I still learned it, but it was like phasing out at that point in time. So, so I ended up writing it after it took me a couple of months, and then I stopped, and then I just went back one day and looked at all of my old letters and was looking at them, the letters that I was gonna throw away. And one lesson too, really quick, that I'll say, and then I'm gonna be finished. I was taught that whenever you're writing the letter, to not stop, no matter what. If you start the letter, just finish the letter. Even if you think that you messed up, just finish it. And that was something that I took on. And I did, and the letter that I actually sent off was one of those letters when I was just going through my, book of failures, as I thought it was, a bunch of letters that just didn't look good. I ended up finding one. I was like, oh, this is actually not that bad. And I had wrote that maybe months and months ago. And so I just signed my name on it and sent it off. And then now I'm Taqee Muhammad X. No, I'm just playing. But yeah. That was 6 years ago.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful, wonderful. And Sister Tyra, what about you? How did you find your way into Islam?
Yes, ma'am. So I actually found my way into the Nation of Islam during COVID. So this was right. I'm not sure if this was right when COVID hit, but I know that we were kind of in the thick of it. I remember getting on Instagram and seeing one of my friends' stories. She had a final call on her story, and I'll never forget it. It was the most honorable Elijah Muhammad's face, and it said he was right for 70 years or for like 72 years, and about the UFOs. And so I was like, what? And then so I was just like, yeah, whatever, right? And then I started seeing things on the news about like UFOs are real and things like that. And I'm just like, okay, so the government has been lying to us for this entire time, for the entirety. And, having us think that like the people who like, talk about like the UFOs in the sky and stuff like that are like crazy and like ostracizing them and that we shouldn't talk to them or anything like that. And, but then they came back, within my lifetime and said, oh, actually, they actually are real, but they're called aerial objects, aerial objects, aerial phenomenon. Yeah. So, after that, I said, okay, let me dive a little bit deeper. I was reunited actually with an old friend from high school at a mutual friend's play. And that just so happened to be my husband here. And we were watching the Criterion at one point, and we're watching it. I believe was the replay, but anyway, we were watching it, and the minister said he had asked Allah. He was speaking from the garden. He said that he had asked Allah to show us the baby planes, and then there was these videos that flashed across the screen of all of these baby planes all over the world. And for me personally, that solidified it. I said, okay, clearly they've been lying. This is not, so I just was like, well, I'm just trying to get with the people who've been telling the truth. Obviously I was a skeptic. I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't heard anything negative about the nation at all growing up. It was just more so like it wasn't like very prominent in my life. You would hear it, you would hear Farrakhan, but it wasn't anything that was like, oh, the Nation of Islam does X, Y, and Z, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That just wasn't in my household. And so because I was a skeptic, I said, well, I'm going to just join the class, or I'm going to, get into the processing class. And if there's anything that I don't like, then I'm out. Right. And then it turned into, okay, well, I'm just going to register. But if there's anything, because oh, when you register, like something else is going to happen, right? That's when the shoe is going to drop and like the masks are going to come off, that whole thing. And so I was just like, if that happens, if I have to drink any punch, I'm out of here. Like, no, I am not joining a cult. They said this was a cult, whatever. But I've always been, I always needed my own experience from like my entire life. People would say classes were hard, then I take the class and it's not hard, kind of thing. So I said, well, I'm just gonna join the nation, and if I don't like something, then I'm up out of here. And I have been here for going on 5 years in October.
Wow. All praise due to Allah. Beautiful. Brother, is it Taqee? I want to make sure I say it right.
Yes, ma'am. Taqee.
Taqee, okay. So my next question for you, I see you're a civil engineer by trade. Did Islam really affect the decision you made to be an engineer, or was that something you kind of just always wanted to do?
We can go ahead and just set the base that Islam has affected just about every good decision I've ever made. The bad ones, that was me. Or my daddy. Let's put it on my daddy. Islam definitely affected my decision to choose civil engineering. I chose civil engineering because at the time, kind of going back, I guess, to that story with me sitting on the porch, on the steps at in our house in California. The thing that I had told my uncle that I wanted to be was a barber. I said I wanted to be a barber when I get older. And originally I wanted to do that because when I was sitting in the barbershop, I saw my uncle had cut my hair or whatnot. And then my dad had paid him. And then he had, my dad was supposed to be getting some change back for what he paid. And so I saw my uncle pull out a big old wad of cash. because at that time, all the barbers were getting paid in cash. So I was like, okay, I want to be a barber. I want that. And so when my uncle came over the house one day, that's when we had that conversation on the steps, and I told him I want to be a barber when I get older. And then he had told me that you don't want to just be a barber. Anybody can be a barber. And he was like, why don't you seek to own a whole strip mall? And there you can put a barbershop in there if you want to, but then other businesses that pay you to have your own, to be into your strip mall. And I was like, wait a minute, I can have just a piece of property and businesses that pay me just to be in there, and I can still get the barbershop that I want to do. He was like, yeah. So then at that age of 7, I was like, okay, that's what I want. And that's what I want to do. And that was just like the seed that was planted in me for my love of business and desire to grow, to build Muhammad's grocery stores, build Muhammad's hospitals, build Muhammad's hotel, build all of these things for the nation in the name of Muhammad. And I had told my dad when I was in high school that I think I want to do construction because I was hearing the minister say we need to build a nation, and he was saying don't go to college to get a BS degree. Go there to get your nation building skills. We have to build the nation. In my young mind, I thought that meant all of us need to get a hammer and nail and actually build this nation. And so I said I want to become a construction worker. And my dad had told me, who was Abdul Sharif, and he had told me that I could teach you construction because he did construction. He was like, you don't have to go to school for that. I can teach you that. Go and learn how to do what it is that the people who tell us what to do. So go and learn engineering. And so that was on my mind. He planted that seed. And then as I get to my senior year of high school, trying to figure out what am I about to do once I graduate, because I know I'm about to get band scholarships, but I don't know what I'm going to major in when I get to school. I was watching a lot of lectures of the minister, and then I started reading the Supreme Wisdom, and all that kept popping out to me was engineers. Engineers are mentioned a couple of times in the problem book of the Supreme Wisdom, and then I was hearing the minister talk about how we need engineers, and so engineering was what I had chose. And then I spoke to my dad. It got me in contact with a brother who was an engineer and was asking me about what are the things that I desire to do. And then he had told me that what this sounds like, the field of engineering that fits most what you're talking about is civil engineering. And then so that's how I went into civil engineering.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful, beautiful. I love how your dad just kind of navigated your journey and make sure he kept you focused and led you, kind of expounded on what you wanted to do to lead you to the right direction. So praise be to Allah. Sister Tyra, well, my next question is for you, Sister Tyra, before we turn to Brother West. Now, you have an experience in being a healthcare professional in emergency medicine and laboratory science. Now, being in the nation and, you're learning the teachings, you're starting to learn more about the world. Has it caused you to look at healthcare differently? Are you kind of like, now I got to have a fine eye on what they're doing, how things are done? How has that been for you, merging what you already know in your healthcare professional with your spiritual journey?
Well, so actually, Islam has actually changed the trajectory of where I thought I was going to be. I thought that I was going to go into healthcare and become a doctor and all of that. But then I actually turned to dentistry. And Allah is seeming to, that's more best fit for my actual values and what I actually want to do with my life. In the healthcare industry, being in the Nation of Islam has definitely opened my eyes up to the systemic racism part. I've seen some pretty horrid things, at work. And I mean, obviously, because, working in an emergency department, but whereas for someone who, for our people, is more so like mistreatment, more dismissive, more, and that's not only just for like Black women, that's for Black men too. I have seen, prostate checks and just some pretty, emasculating things. And for me, I want to be everywhere at once. I want to, okay, no, so we don't have to go through that. You don't have to feel emasculated. I'll open this up or I'll do this. However, Allah has blessed me to be in a nation with like-minded thinkers. So inshallah, in the near future, we will be able to open up our own clinics, have our own dental offices, because most of our people don't have, health insurance, let alone dental insurance in the first place, due to, systemic racism, as far as, in general, but also as far as the workforce, and things like that, and the climate that we're in. So I really want to put my hands in a lot of different pots, but it's like there are so many different avenues that you have to go down. You have to go back to school like over and over and over again. So yes, we're just working on the networking to make all of that happen.
Just praise be to Allah. And I know it's gonna happen. Once we say kun fayakun, be and it is. So putting it out there, it's gonna manifest. And I look forward to, in the future when we follow up with you both, to seeing, how you've been able to, make that come true. And I appreciate you both. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Brother West. Brother West, he's going to have some questions for you both. So Brother West, I'll turn it to you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and that Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Praise be to Allah. So I've been hearing you all answer some great questions by our sister Janine, but I am curious, just taking a step back a little bit, if you all could tell us how you both met. If you wanted to, describe maybe y'all courtship process and what made y'all pursue marriage. Whoever wanted to go first, though, since it might be a story.
Okay. Okay. Well, so we first met for the very, very, very first time. We went to high school together, actually. But we only went to high school together for 3 months. And so there was no, we were not dating or anything like that. Like, it really was strictly platonic. And actually, I'll let you tell that story. But we lost a connection. I think that was our junior year of high school. And then, because then the senior year, I was off living my best life as a senior, ditching school and stuff. Don't do that, y'all. But so went to college. After we graduated college, a mutual friend of ours was having a play. And I got there and I just got out of this really bad relationship kind of thing. And I was just just chilling and going out with my girls. And it was just I felt really hot. It wasn't hot in there. So I felt really hot. And I'm just somebody I know is here. Somebody I know is here. And so I saw an actor get on the stage and I could not remember, the name for the life of me. But I just knew that this person was here. Saw this actor get on stage and I was like, did he grow up? Is that him? Because he was super tall or whatever. And I was just I just remember him being a caramel kind of color. And I was just maybe that's him. I don't know, whatever. And my homegirl Jada's okay. And she looking at me crazy too, because she's just girl, who are you talking about? But then after we watched the whole play, never saw him. Then after the play, I saw him. And I was like, that's him. I was telling Jada, that's him. And she was like, oh, you should go up and talk to him. And I was like, nah, girl, because I just got this other thing. I'm not even trying to do all that. I just want to focus on myself. No, the Lord is going to have to come down, because at that time I wasn't in the nation. But I was just God himself going to have to sit on my right next to me and say, this one right here is your husband. That's how over it I was. But either way, it was like the parting of the Red Sea. Like, I don't know if y'all like have watched those movies where it's like the people be like passing by, and then like in slow-mo you see the one person, it's like this light that comes behind them. That was my experience. And so I was just like, what is his name? And I'm just like, dang. And I'm looking for our friend, because he knows him, right? Because he's here. And he is nowhere to be found. He is mixing and mingling with the people about how wonderful the play is. And then what did I say? Like, hey, you or something?
You were like, hey.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah.
But I can't remember your name.
Can't remember the name. And I told on myself.
I said, I remember your name, Tyra. And then she was like, oh no, don't do me like that. And then pretty much we met up at the like after party social of the well, she was asking, am I gonna go to it? I had no intention on going to that. I'm a homebody. I really don't like being out. So she was like, are you gonna go to that? I was beginning to say nah, and then my homie who also went to high school with us too. I also went to middle school with him. I hadn't seen him in the same amount of time as I hadn't seen her. Like that play was like dang near like a high school reunion, because our homie who put it on like brought everybody back. And so I was like beginning to say no, and then my homie was like, yeah, he's coming.
Yeah, he did say that.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'm coming. And I was really only going because I hadn't seen my homie in a long time, and we used to kick it since high school since middle school up into high school. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I guess I'll go. So I went up there. I was going for two reasons: to kick it with, I was going for two people for the most part, to kick it with my homie who I hadn't saw, and then the homie who put on the play, like to celebrate him at his after party. I get there and neither of them Negroes show up. And so the main one who I wanted to see never showed up. The one whose party that it was, he showed up super late. So the only person who's there that I know is Tyra. And so I'm there and I'm talking to Tyra, and we're just, just kind of kicking it. At the time, I thought that her boyfriend was in the building at the time, was the guy who was there. So I was just casually just talking to her or whatnot. We exchanged Instagrams. I invited her to a music video, and then the rest was history. It kind of picks up at where she started her conversation about her journey of Islam. One thing about this story that I just kind of realized a couple of months ago when I was explaining this story to a couple of the brothers was I had thought about how some years prior, maybe like the year before I met Tyra, or reconnected, because we went to high school together. But the year before we reconnected was that Savior's Day, that virtual Savior's Day that we had during COVID. And we had that youth meeting. And in the youth meeting, the minister said, he was speaking about how wonderful life will be and whatnot when you find the one that Allah has made for you. And so he had said, when you find the one that Allah, when you stumble upon the one, he had corrected himself and said, when you stumble upon the one that Allah has made for you. And he was talking about, you'll find them in the work and whatnot. And that, resonated with me when he said it. But it was like one of those things that you hear and it just sticks with you, but you like don't really know what relevance it has to you at the time. And then I was in that play. My homeboy who did the play asked me to cameo as an FOI selling final calls. And so I just was realizing that when I was telling the story to a couple of the brothers, that in my process of striving to do what it is that I really desire to do, which is to teach these teachings through creative medium. And as I'm cameoing in a play as an FOI, like playing the role of doing the work while also doing the work. And putting the nation and our mission in front of the eyes of the people. That's where I happened to stumble upon the woman who Allah had sent to help, make me whole. So I always thought that was interesting. Or at least when I figured it out, I thought that was interesting.
All praises due to Allah. That's an amazing story on how you both met. I think it's beautiful, honestly. So my next question for you both. Brother Taqee, I know that your parents were originally in the nation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So if you can tell us, I know you kind of briefly spoke on it, but what was it like being raised in that environment where your parents were practicing Islam? And even though you didn't immediately register right after, do you believe you had that foundation or that love for the teachings from a young age?
Absolutely. Being raised in a Muslim household sucks. I'm just playing. No, I'm just joking. No, I think that, well, first, absolutely, 100%, without a doubt, I had the foundation to the point that I never really have been like out of the mosque. I never really desired to go and really see like all of the trouble I can get into in the world. I always had, my parents did a really good job of instilling the fear of Allah in me. So, you know, most all bad decisions I made them with a heart that was pounding. Like, man, Allah is finna get me for this, man. Master Muhammad is finna, like, I'm hoping he's like looking the other way or something right now. And so they definitely instilled that love and that desire, and watching my dad work in his capacity as as assistant regional captain in LA, and then as first officer out here in Atlanta, and seeing him do what he loves to do really was a good example for me of a soldier at work for this mission. And then watching my mom soldier in her MGT capacity, always being at the mosque, like never not being at the mosque, was a good example for me too of a soldiering sister. And so it was something that I always desired to be. Now, when I was younger and my dad was first officer and he had to be there to open up the mosque and then close the mosque, and we had to also be there with him too, that wasn't enjoyable. I didn't enjoy that. And those were the times when I was just like, man, I am all mosqued out. I don't want to see no mosque. Don't give me no greetings. But as I got older, and really just the love of the minister was instilled in us so much. And, you know, as an answer to our problems of going and watching the lectures, studying these teachings when you're feeling away. And as I was getting older and growing into my manhood and going through the stages of uncertainty and types of depression that young men get when they don't really know or have lost sight of what they were born for. Feeding on the minister's lectures really helped me to see what was going on within myself and how I could overcome it. And so I thank Allah every day that He blessed my grandma, who is my mom's mom, to come into these teachings and bring my mom in at 12 years old, and bless my dad to come in at 18 years old, to be able to bring me to be born into these teachings. So yeah, I had a great experience though, as a nation baby. My parents weren't like super strict or unbalanced Muslims when it came to the parenting. They were pretty cool folk.
Praise be to Allah. Having that nation baby experience, it definitely gives you a different type of outlook on the teachings for sure. And speaking on, I would say, being registered young, or maybe earlier than a lot of believers probably have been, how do you see yourselves representing the teachings to other, I would say, young adults that are out there that may not be familiar with the Nation of Islam? Like Brother Taqee, I see that sometimes you like to post some videos online that can kind of like spread awareness to the teachings as well.
Did you want to get into that? Okay. Yeah, I as a young Muslim, like in about middle school, me and my brother, we always saw that there was something about us that just made us attractive. especially when we get together. Individually, we have a strong attraction on our peer group, but when we get together, it's just like a beacon of light in darkness. Is how we've been treated amongst our fellow lost found peers. And so we felt like it was part of our purpose to make Islam look as fun as it is, to make people to know that Islam is not a religion of depravity where you just get deprived of everything and all fun and it's just whatever, but to let people to know that it's fun and it's the most fun in righteousness. And so I've always strived to do that and really just be myself, really, because I don't, like I said, I've never really not felt like a Muslim in the Nation of Islam. And so just being myself and striving to be myself more and more and has always been something that I've done and that has been an influence to anybody who it's ever influenced. And as just young people striving, me and Sister Tyra just striving, really. I don't really like try to necessarily for a long time, I should say this, for a long time I rejected the influence that I had and never really wanted that type of responsibility. And to be honest, I still don't. But I recognize that responsibility is on me and on every member of the Nation of Islam, because we're all saviors, and we're all of us who've been touched by the light and who are striving to submit and emulate that light are small beacons of light in and of ourselves. And so whenever we're around our people in a land of darkness, we're going to be people that stand out and that are attractive to the people. And so we have a duty to just accept our own and be ourselves every chance that we get, because you never know who is watching. And I've learned that over the course of my short life that I've been living, that a lot of people that you don't know are watching.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I think that's wonderful that you chose that responsibility to go out there and try to bring our people, of course, to the Lamb of God. It's definitely something that we have to strive even harder to do in a time like today. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my brother Jamal. He's going to ask y'all a couple questions too. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. I'm also a big fan, Brother Wes.
Oh, man, it's great to have you on, brother.
The young genius, brother, young scientist God. So it was a pleasure.
I'm just your brother.
Sir, thank you, Brother West. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I believe there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
I wanted to ask you, my first question was, how do you see your roles contributing to a greater vision of unity? Basically, your backgrounds and your passions that y'all both have, how do y'all see your roles contributing together in a relationship and going to all the world?
Our roles contributing to the relationship? I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh, yeah, yes. Like, so how do you see your roles as your passions and what you do, like your medical passions or what you do in the nation? How do you see them contributing to your relationship? And do you see it actually both of you having do you see both of you having your actions go out and impacting other people's lives?
I like that question a lot.
I have to think about my answer.
Okay, I'll help you out. All right, I'm gonna give you some stuff that I think will help. Tyra is really like, she's like the dot of my I and the cross of my T. The things that I desire to do, that I feel are are connected to my purpose, the parts that I struggle at, Tyra is really good at those things. So, for instance, like when it comes to the music that I do, I write, rap, and sing. Tyra's a phenomenal singer. She's really like my vocal coach. And so ever since me and Tyra have started courting, my vocals have gotten tremendously better, because I'll be singing some stuff and she'll be like, that ain't good. And then she'll be like, do it like this. And then she'll just start ripping it, because she comes from that, church choir background and whatnot. So, and we come from that Muslims don't sing background. No, I'm just playing. But so she really helps with that. And she helps me on the creative side of things, which I feel is a big part of what my purpose is. But even on like the business side of things, I'm very creative when it comes to marketing ideas, and when it comes to just creative vision for business. But when it comes to certain things of management and following up and things of that nature, that's where I lack at. But that's where Tyra's like really excellent at. Tyra's like if something needs to get done, she's gonna make sure that it gets done. If there's somebody who needs to get called, if there's some paperwork or whatnot that needs to get filed in order for something to happen, she's gonna call, and she's gonna keep calling. It doesn't matter if the assistant that she's calling, if she's trying to get to somebody and they got an assistant who's calling, who's like the roadblock, Tyra's gonna keep talking to that person until she gets what she wants. She's gonna get what she wants by any means necessary. And so that is that has its pros and its cons, but it's a really big pro though. Especially when it comes to using our collective gifts and talents to help build something for our family and for our nation. That characteristic that she has is really a yin to my yang. And I think with us both being, striving to be heavily involved in some of the important ministries of science and technology and health. It's Ministry of Health and Human Services. Health and Human Services, yes, ma'am. So with us both striving to grow each other in those aspects, that really allows us and propels us and puts us in a situation. We're on the ground stages now, but we're helping to put each other in the space to where we can really be able to serve our nation using our gifts, skills, and talents.
Yes, sir. Thank you for that. And Sister Tyra, did you want to answer or?
I think you said everything pretty much.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I got another question actually that you actually went on to the creativity part is so I know Sister Tyra, you're into fashion and lifestyle and intentional living, and you're also music. I know brother Taqee, you're also into music and civil engineering, as you do that as lifestyle. So how important is creativity in your spiritual and personal growth? And do you think creative expression is necessary for healing and self-discovery?
So I absolutely think that creativity is necessary for healing and self-discovery. Actually, I would have not described myself as the most creative person, especially because my whole life has been about pretty much books, education, science and numbers, and I'm a very analytical person. However, since coming into the Nation of Islam and practicing the 7 units, getting to know the 7 units, and actually trying to master the 7 units, I am now discovering my creativity, or at least more of my creativity. I recently just learned how to sew last year. A couple of sisters held classes, and now, especially because I'm 4'11". Okay, so I am and very petite. I'm like not a double X small, but maybe a X, extra small. But so I'm saying that to say they really don't make clothes for me. And I'm either going to be swallowed up, or it's going to be looking like a kitty size, like it's not cute. So with being able to gain that skill, since being in the Nation of Islam, since coming into my class, I have thought about all kinds of different things that I can sew, things that will look good on, certain sisters, on really the sisterhood as a whole. So it's really got my creative juices flowing, and it has allowed for me to discover the different styles that I have. So I don't have to only be subjected to what I see on Instagram. I can create things myself. I've also seen some other sisters, who know how to sew, and they have their own style, and then I get inspired from that. When the Vanguard, when we as the Vanguard go out on our socials, and then we see each other dressed in our own particular style. Some have urban style, some are very classic. And we just pull inspo from each other in such a modest way, and it really is a beautiful thing. So, yeah.
And I would add to that creativity is super important, because your creativity is your expression of Allah. It's your unique expression of Allah, and all of the information and skills that we gather throughout life are really like building blocks, like the alphabet, whether it be engineering skills or dentist skills or doctor skills or whatnot, or just studying the teachings. All of these are just like alphabets. But it's up to you to look inside of yourself to find what unique gift that God gave you, that you can express that alphabet and turn that alphabet into words, sentences, paragraphs, and a story, and write your unique story. And so there's a creative way for you to express dentistry. There's a creative way for me to express civil engineering. There's a creative way for me to express myself through music, because Allah didn't call any of us to just be doctors, engineers, musicians, but He called us all to be saviors. And the way that you're going to be a savior, and the way that you're going to fulfill your purpose of delivering the 40 to 50 million dead to the Lamb of God, is by looking within yourself and finding what is that unique gift, talent, and skill that Allah gave you, and then working to nurture that, so that can express itself in its own unique, creative way, to take a thing that's already been here, but to do what the Savior came to do, which is to make all things new.
Yes, I think that y'all both answered the question beautifully. I like how, Sister Tyra, you said having inspiration of creativity, and I love how you said, Brother Taqee, you said how getting creativity from Allah and putting that with the people. You have to pull that from yourself. I like how both of y'all put that. And before I go to my next question, actually, the host, Brother Donald, his question was, how important is the courtship process? He wanted to ask that to himself.
The courtship process is extremely important, because I think that, when when I was in the world, it was just, the kind of dating thing, kind of, oh, I like you, I don't like you, things like that. And then a lot of emotional, trauma can take place. However, in the courtship process, if done correctly, there shouldn't really be any emotional trauma there. And actually, in our courtship, which what we were instructed to do, was to ask questions, a whole lot of questions. So me coming into the nation and not really knowing about the courting, only just like seeing like the things on the movie. So I'm like, oh, we're supposed to go out on dates. We're supposed to go. And it was like, not necessarily. We're going to be going to court. So my lovely husband here took me to court, and he asked me every question imaginable. And he drilled me with question after question after question. Even like sometimes he would just like, I just thought of this. Let me ask you this. And he would also, when he discovered things about himself in his maturing throughout life, he would say, I learned this about myself, Tyra. And then he would tell me whatever it was. And he was just like, I just thought that you should know that, because it was important that, well, to the both of us, that we try our very, very, very best to be 100% honest, to not put on any facades, to not, just have that representative, at least not intentionally, so that if we did choose to get married to one another, that we knew who we were marrying, we knew why we wanted to get married, so that there were no like surprises or anything like that. So yes.
Thank you for the answer. That was beautifully well put, and that explained the court process in short to anybody that didn't understand the court process for our audience. Thank you for that. And my next question was going more into Islam and the practices of Islam. The next question is, how have the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan uniquely impacted each of your lives?
I would say for me, it really opened me up to myself and my true self, not survival mode, Tyra, where I had to be this independent woman. I'm the oldest of three, so I need to be in charge. I need to have together, kind of thing. But the way that the minister speaks to us, and I listen to a lot of lectures that he delivers to, just the MGT and Vanguard, and just to the MGT in general. But the way that he really gets us to understand our value is unmatched. I know for a fact that before I came in contact with these teachings, I did not value myself the way that I probably should have. So that's how that has changed my life. Now I am softer but bold. And what I mean by that is, like, if I'm at work, before, maybe I may have like been hesitant to address an issue to my manager. Even if I felt like, with my manager, if I felt that I was done wrongly by my manager, it's just like, okay, like, they're paying me, so let me just suck it up and not say anything. And now it's like, well, no, you don't actually have to take that. There is a way to say everything, say and do everything. And so now I feel more confident with speaking to people in authority and conveying myself properly and getting what I need out of the situation.
Islam, like I said before, everything good that I have and that I've done in my life can be attributed to and is rooted to Islam and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Islam gave me my sense of identity. It gave me my reason for being, the way in which I would justify my existence. To know that I was born to be God, like, what's better than that? Like, what is anybody going to think of? What is any degree in any school that can be conferred? There's no office that anybody could offer that is better than being a God. To know that I was born to be a God and to bring about other little gods. When I finally really came to terms with that understanding, that is when it just kind of sets me off, because it's like whenever I'm slacking in an area, I reflect over the fact that I was born to be a God. Whenever I'm finding myself struggling in a particular area, I reflect over the fact that I'm born to be a God, and that I'm born to meet and overcome any and all obstacles, and that anything that I want and desire, the answer is already yes. Anything of good that I want and desire, the answer is already yes. And I was born at a time that I was born to be in that generation of fulfillment, who would fulfill everything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spoke about and taught about and desired. So to know that to know to be in a teaching that gives me a thorough understanding of the now, of the time, and what must be done. I couldn't think of anything better. The more and more I study on these teachings, the more and more I feed on the teachings. I feed on the lectures of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The more and more I fall in love over and over and over again. The more and more sometimes I feel sorry for those who haven't accepted these teachings. But then it just fills me up and rejuvenates me to go out there and really push these teachings as far as I can push these teachings and to inspect myself with a magnifying glass to find out what are the gifts and talents that I have that I can use to spread these teachings far and wide and get this point across to all of our people that you too are also born to be God. And we are in a time when the God himself has came and offered us the greatest love offering that anybody could ever offer, which is the ability to grow and manifest him and be like him. And so, as the scripture says, and that when that time comes, you will see God and you will be like God. And so we've saw God and we're striving to be like him. And I wouldn't know anything about that had these teachings not affected my grandma, my mother, and my father, and myself. And I'm forever thankful for Master Fard Muhammad for traveling 9,000 miles by himself and seeking to save that which was lost and finding that one Georgia-born Black man, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and those two raising up the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes, both beautiful answers. I like what I see from that is basically how the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan reminded us what our worth is, and knowing we are both. We have God within ourselves, and we can become gods. So I like how y'all both put that in perspective. Y'all used examples of how y'all use in y'all everyday lives. And the next question before we go to SID, and then we go to Sister Janine to ask more questions, is what does a striving Muslim look like for each of you in your current stages of life?
A striving Muslim looks like doing your best to make Fajr prayer. doing your best to make Fajr prayer. After Fajr prayer, do your best to try to read the Quran. And if you are not able to hit those things, I always like to do, like, say if you're on your way to work, if you may work early, around Fajr time, I usually like to talk to Allah in the car. I do a dua, and then I have like a full-blown conversation with Allah in the car about whatever it is. And then, strive to make your mosque meetings, because you need that reinforcement. Because the war, we don't live at the mosque. We live, the mosque is a place, and then the mosque is supposed to come home with you. However, some of our environments are more so worldly, and we can't do anything if that's not something that we can, control. So I just keep going to the mosque and getting that reinforcement, delving into the self-improvement, listening to Final Call Radio, just reinforcement, and then you will find yourself on the way. Someone is going to inspire you to do better than what you're doing now. But you don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to be perfect.
A striving Muslim to me is someone who is dying daily so that Allah may live in you. So you're constantly assessing yourself and not doing a whole lot of looking outward at others and what somebody else is not doing right, but striving to anytime you find yourself doing that, to redirect yourself right back to you, and focusing on your own self-improvement, seeing where it is that you're lacking, making note of that. Like, actually, sometimes if you need to physically make a note of it and write down a list of what it is that you're slacking at, and formulate plans on how you can, on how you're going to work on these things. So if you're not praying, if you're not waking up for Fajr prayer, is it because you're going to sleep too late? What are you doing that's caused you to go to sleep too late? What can you do to adjust that? Being a scientist, because Islam is mathematics, and mathematics is Islam. So you have to take a mathematical approach in order to be a good Muslim. You're not just going to be a good Muslim thinking spooky and treating this like the rest of the world treats mainstream religion, but you have to take a mathematical approach in order to attain God. And so a striving Muslim is one who is constantly assessing themselves and then trying to do the work to every day just get 1% better. Every year get a percentage better than where you were, but to not stay stagnant. Just constant growth, perpetual growth is what, if your mindset is on that, and if you're acting in a way that is that, and you're constantly striving to submit your will to do the will of Allah, and train yourself to be able to hear Allah in a sign and see Him and recognize Him in a sign, then that's what a striving Muslim is to me, in short.
That's both great answers. Y'all, both talked about growth and how, you don't have to be perfect, but as long as you keep striving in the way of Allah, that's the definition of being a striving Muslim, and looking at what you're doing wrong and working on those things you're actually doing in action. So I thank y'all for both answering my question, as we're going to turn it over to Brother West for SID. So thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, sir. Wa alaikum salam. Very good questions too, brother.
Absolutely. And family, we just want to remind you that you are listening to WHID-FM. We want to thank you for tuning in and spending your valuable time with us, because we know that without you, there is no WHID-FM. So if you have any suggestions, please email us at WHID1919@gmail.com. And also, please subscribe to WHID-FM on YouTube and follow us on Facebook if you haven't already. Next week, our guest will be, inshallah, our dear sister, Sivan Muhammad. So make sure you tune in right back here Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that wonderful episode. And we will be right back after these messages.
Everybody join in this melody. That's the only way we're gonna be free. Everybody singing this sweet refrain. Sing this melody till it gets in your brain. Well, I'm talking to you, Muslim, Christian, and the Hebrew. Here's the thing to do, we got to unite or else we are through. Everybody singing.
Assalamu alaikum. This is your brother LaRon Muhammad, the owner of Supreme Styles Collections, an online haberdashery where we sell accessories, books, body butters, prayer rugs, even supplements. So we have what a man needs spiritually, physically, and mentally. And with our help in making our brothers into a well-made man and presentable to the community and world, just like you put a bow on top of a gift, you can purchase one of my bow ties and pocket squares handmade by me. They are the right size with the 2 dimples, the 3-inch clip, and a 12-inch matching handkerchief. So come on and start a new collection and check out our selection at SupremeStylesCollections.com. WHID-FM.com. That's the new website. And also follow us on Facebook at Supreme Styles Collections. Also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at LaRon Muhammad. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
All right, praise be to Allah. With that, I want to ask you both a particular question that I like to ask some of our guests, because over your time in the Nation of Islam, I feel like we learn a lot from different believers, because honestly, you might not be able to pick up everything in your study, but other brothers and sisters who will always be able to lend something to your ear that'll really stick with you. So with that, I'm wondering, what is the best advice or word that you've ever heard from a fellow believer that resonates with you even today? And we can start with whoever comes to mind first.
That's a good question. The best advice. I've heard so much good advice. I mean, anytime somebody is lifting up the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in the time that you really need it, like when you're going through whatever you're going through, and they lift up those words of guidance, that's always, and in that particular moment, that is the best advice, if it can help you to solve that problem. But I'm trying to think of any just singular moment of advice that I got that was some of the best advice that I got.
I have mine.
Okay, yeah, do yours. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah.
The best advice that I have gotten was to stay in the ranks, stay in the process. And before, I really didn't understand what that meant. But after having 5 years under my belt, I've learned that the Nation of Islam, and they told me too that the Nation of Islam is a hospital. Everyone is not perfect, and then if you stay the course, what Allah has for you, you will receive. So we are all here. I believe that one of the student ministers said that the Nation of Islam is like a washing machine, and we are the clothes, and it's shaking us, and we rubbing up against each other, and it's sometimes it can be uncomfortable, but that's a part of the process. That's a part of your trials to purify you, to bring out the God in you. You have to absolutely be able to navigate certain situations so that for the greater good of the people, so that the nation can propel forward. And even though there might be situations where you may be uncomfortable, after difficulty surely definitely comes ease, but then also too, you come out shining new until your next trial, and then you'll get a little dirty again, and then you'll come out shining even brighter after that. And then when you go into the world, those people who may have rubbed you the wrong way, you know how to deal with them now. You know how to handle your situation, so that you may not be so emotional, but now you've learned to rise above emotion into the thinking of God. So that's the best advice. I know it's very cliche, but the best advice that I have ever gotten.
Thank you for that. That gave me just enough time to figure something out. I don't know if I could necessarily classify this as advice, or if it would be classified as advice, but some of the best guidance that I got has been from our dear brother Abdul Wahid. And he really helped guide me to see into our point number 12, and into the chapter of Our Savior Has Arrived, of Allah Makes All Things New, and see into closing the gap, to see that what Master Fard Muhammad comes to do is so much bigger than mosque, and so much bigger than what a lot of us think. because our point number 12 says that he comes to, he's going to establish a universal government of peace, wherein we all can live in peace, a universal government. And so it's much bigger than the Nation of Islam in the West. It's much bigger than, North America. It's much bigger than even the planet Earth, because he is going to establish a universal government of peace that all starts from this little budding nation here in North America. And he's going to make all things new, everything within this, everything that the light of the sun touches within the universe. Master Fard Muhammad has a plan that is emanating out of us. And I don't think that, I know I didn't, and I don't think that most of us see how big what's being done and what started in 1930, how big it is. And he really helped me to see that when the minister says that the Nation of Islam needs to be restructured and reorganized to make room for the talents that are within the nation and without the nation, but Allah would not bless us with the talent that's without until we learn how to better steward the talent that's within. And when he introduces the 9 ministries to us and says that the restructure and the reorganization of the nation should look like should emulate the 9 systems that run the government of the universe, as in the planets and the sun being the 10th system, and the 9 systems of our body that govern our body, and the brain being the 10th system. That is the look, the vision that the minister has of that new nation, that universal government of peace, where we all can live in peace. That just not to go too deep into that, but just that understanding of what Master Fard Muhammad is looking to establish, and where we're going as a nation, and really as a universe, where we're all going. That was some of the best understanding that helped me to see and get a clearer idea of what I've always felt and desired to do, and a clear understanding of what my purpose and role is in this nation.
Praise be to Allah. I think those are both some great pieces of advice that can really stick with you throughout your whole journey in the nation, for sure. My next question, before we turn it back over to Sister Janine, I wanted to ask you both, and I know that you've been contributing to this question since it's our goal to ask it throughout the show. But if you had to briefly put into words what Islam has done for you, I would really like to hear your answer.
Islam has elevated me. Since yes, Islam has absolutely elevated me. Islam has shown me the deficits that I have, but it has also shown me how to fix those things, how to overcome my flaws. Islam has also opened me up to seeing others move in a different way than what I was accustomed to, as far as of course out in the world, and just seeing Black people be brotherly and sisterly to each other, and it's the most calming thing that I have ever experienced. Even in the chaos, there's still a calm, there's still a grounding, because we know and understand that all of this is due to Allah's active and permissive will, active or permissive will. So yeah.
Islam has given me my reason for being. Islam has given me the tools that I need to justify my existence, and it's given me the tools that I need to go to war with my own personal deficiencies that tried to prevent me from accomplishing that goal.
All praise is due to Allah. It's amazing. I thank y'all for answering my questions. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Sister Janine to ask the rest of hers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Brother Wes. I know time is upon us and we couldn't get to all the questions that our audience have for tonight. So I'll just leave it to you both to give us some closing comments for the evening before we go to the final announcements. Any closing comments you have for our audience, especially our young audience?
I would just say, first off, thank you all so much, the whole WHID-FM staff, for even considering us to be on this august platform. We don't take this lightly, and we thank you. We just thank you so much. In closing statements, I would just say, I would echo some of the best advice that my wife got, which is, if you're in this fold, stay in this fold, stay in the ranks, and know that Master Father Muhammad handpicked each and every one of us to be in these ranks. If you were called to this, he chose you because he desires to give you the greatest gift, the greatest love offering that anybody could offer, which is the access and the ability to emulate him and to walk through his footsteps. And so stay in these ranks and don't let any of the difficulty, don't look at the difficulty as a reason to leave, but look at the difficulty as an opportunity for growth and elevation, that when you get over that hump, you are that much closer to your eventual destination, which is God. And if you're not in these ranks, get up in here. What are you waiting on? You know what I'm saying? It's lit up in here. So hop up in here and be all that you can be.
And to add to that, and to add to the getting into the ranks, a lot of us as young people, feel that we are our experience is an isolated experience. It is absolutely not. We are all out here struggling, trying to become. We are all out here, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out which path to go through, and get to our higher selves. And I believe that the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to become a part of the process. You have a brother or sister in the Nation of Islam that either has done what you want to do, is striving to do what you want to do, or you will inspire to do something. So you are absolutely needed. You are absolutely important. You are essentially the example, and your testimony is an example to the generation under you. And when they see you struggle and overcome, then they know that they can struggle and also overcome. So you are absolutely, absolutely, absolutely needed.
If I could just add one thing on that too. A lot of us think that, especially us nation babies, we think that we're in the ranks because we believe that these teachings are true. But the journey to God, as I understand it, is a journey of service. When we study the true history of Jesus, and we see that his journey started off with him being of service. How his mom gave him $2,000 when he started his mission at 14 on his way up to Jerusalem. And before he even left the gates of Cairo, he had gave up his $2,000 to the beggars. And everything about his life was service on his road to being the man that we all know and name has lived for as long as it lived. When you look at Master Father Muhammad's journey, and what makes him the God that he is, being the one who actually went out and sought after, he went in search for those who were lost, to seek and save that which was lost. So it was work that he did. It was a service that he did. He went door to door. When you look at the messenger, it was a service that he did that rose into eminence. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, same sacrifice and service. So we're not in the ranks if we're not finding ourselves in a road of sacrifice and service for this mission. And you don't attain to God by taking a different road than he did. You attain to God by when he puts his foot somewhere, you put your foot that same place. So he went door to door. He went to our people. He gave these teachings to the people. So if we want to attain to the God, if we actually want to be in these ranks, then we have to walk that same path of the God. And in that journey of us striving to walk that path of the God and exercising our gifts and talents, that is when we'll see ourselves rising and rising in eminence and in reflection of the God. And like I said, there's no better place to be. There's nothing better to be than a God. So yeah, hop up on this train, man.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. What a wonderful, wonderful way to end the program. And we thank you for just being an example and inspiring the youth, because a lot of times people have this perception about who is in the Nation of Islam. They assume either you've come out of prison or you did it because someone told you to do it. And just to see the beautiful young representation shows that you don't have to wait until you're 40, 50 years old to have a spiritual relationship. You can start early on. So I definitely appreciate you both, and we definitely hope to see you all again. I would definitely look forward to seeing how your journey goes and just seeing your growth. So thank Allah for you both, and thank you Allah for just allowing them to come onto this program. And for our audience, we just have a few announcements before we close out today. If you enjoy what you heard today, I'm sure you have, you're invited to study with the Nation of Islam to learn the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as taught by his chief helper, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You can visit us at www.noi.org/go study. We have weekly webcasts every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely go on that website and look at some of the lectures we had, the past lectures, the archives from the minister. Just go check out all of it. Final Call Radio, download it on all of your devices. Take it with you on the go. Whether you're going to work, you're going to school, you're just running errands, instead of having the radio just playing in your ear and playing in your subconscious, have the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan playing in that truth in your ear 24/7. Speaking of Final Call, the Final Call newspaper, you see the cover on the screen. Will America and Israel be charged with war crimes? Support Black media. If you want to know what's really going on in the world without any fluff, giving it to you straight, you want to know what's going on, get the Final Call newspaper. There's a reason why we call the Final Call the number one minister in the nation, because it has been all across the world. So get the Final Call newspaper from one of our brothers on the street. You can get a Final Call subscription. You can go online, and don't forget to get a subscription for our brothers and sisters that are behind bars, because as we know, they can lock them up physically, but they cannot lock up their mind. One of our last announcements: if you want a book that greatly empowers your child and showcases your self-worth, look no further than I Never Knew I'm All That, Book 1. This book showcases and affirms our children's needs. You can get this book on Amazon.com. This book is written by our host, Brother Donald Muhammad, illustrations by Sister Amina Lay. If you are in Richmond, Virginia this Sunday, you can come and hear the reality of God delivered by the local representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan down in Richmond, Virginia. Student Minister Tracy Muhammad. You can see them at 801 Prince Hall Drive in Richmond, Virginia. Here in Baltimore, you can visit us at 2801 North Dukeland Street, which is a connection school. You can come and visit us there and hear from our local representative, Brother Imam Abdul Salam Muhammad. So with that, family, I'm going to be temporarily helping our sister out by doing our Eat Well, Be Well segment, and then we'll turn it to Brother West to close in prayer. So our Eat Well, Be Well segment is coming from the book How to Eat to Live, Book 1. It's page 9. And the title of the chapter is called Food God Suggests. It says, never before have we gone so far astray. The European white race, blessed with the privilege of eating the best food the earth provides, has taught us to eat the worst, divinely prohibited food. We eat all the time, 3 and 4 times a day. This is enough to wear out the intestines of a brass monkey. Eat a single meal a day, no matter what anyone says. He says, if your doctor says that you should eat more than 1 meal a day, ignore him with a smile and eat only once a day. If he tells you he eats 3 meals a day, tell him that his length of life is about the same as his patience. Then tell the doctor to try eating 1 meal a day. The more idle our stomachs are, the longer they will last. And before we end this out, we're going to pull out the keyword idle. Idle meaning not having much activity. It also means having no lawful means of support, not having any real purpose or value. So that can apply in multiple areas in our lives, whether we're having idle stomachs or idle minds. In A How to Lead to Live, it goes on to say the more we tax our stomach, the sooner it wears out. We all try to live as long as we can because nature never teaches us that we should try not to live. We do not have a nature that teaches us to die or teaches us of life somewhere else. So the point here trying to make is while we have this one life, do our best to appreciate this life and take care of the vessel that God gave us so we can live out that purpose. So with that, family, would like to end this segment for tonight, and I'll turn it over to Brother West, and he will close us out in prayer. Brother West, you're on mute. Okay, I think Brother West may have some technical difficulties, so I will close this out in prayer, family. Prayer. Rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum, family.
This house is dedicated to knowledge and to the spreading of knowledge. Elijah Muhammad inspired new thought, new mind, new way of civilization among black people. But he wanted a house from which a light could be lifted up to give guidance to all who would be guided as this world begins to close down. This National Center for the re-education and retraining of the black man and woman, but for the totality of the human family on our planet. I named this mosque after the only woman that the Quran names a chapter after, the mother of Jesus, Maryam. All human beings need to be re-educated. That is the purpose of the National Center.